Morning. My name is Shira, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Client Management Solutions Community Webcast. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. Mr. Dana Gibson, you may begin your conference.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Dana Gibson. I'm the president of the community. And this morning we're going to be hearing Laural Gentry give a lead up through the 12.8 version of the product up to Richard Lechner's overview of the 12.9 product. And then Laural will come back on and give us a sneak peek at CA World and let us know what's going to be happening there. She's going to be putting up a link soon to take a survey. This is your chance to give some feedback, so do take the time to go over there and take that survey. Any questions you have, please use the Q&A tab so that we can keep track of what's been asked and what's been answered. And other than that, Laural, let's go.
All right. Thank you, Dana. The survey link that we have up here is a simple, very quick 14-question survey. It should take you less than 5 minutes to fill it out. We also have the link on the community site. It's static at the top of the home page on the community. It's also, the link can be found on the clientautomationca.com homepage. We really want you to take this survey so that we can get the answers to the questions on product quality, ease of use, ease of upgrade, those types of things. We really want your feedback. And then you also have the opportunity to submit suggestions in the survey also. So please do take the time to go ahead and get that. And Mary, is everything okay as far as the conference? Is everything all right? I just got a question from the line. It sounded like the conference was not online yet.
Where did you get the question, in the Q&A?
Yeah.
I'm answering that right now.
Okay, thank you. So let's go ahead and push on because we have a lot of material to cover. Wanted to tell you about an exciting new promotion that is going on right now and will continue through March 31st. It's called CA Unified Endpoint Management. And this promotion allows any client automation, ITCM, or even the old Unicenter desktop and server management codes to get up to a one-to-one license at a zero cost for mobile device management. So please reach out if you are interested in doing that to your account manager because we do want you to take a look at MDM. And again, as I said, you can get up to a one-to-one license ratio and understand that client automation is licensed per system, per device you're managing, because client automation does manage a lot of devices like servers and alternative devices like ATMs and point-of-sale devices that don't necessarily have users. MDM is licensed per user. So you will probably need fewer licenses of CA Mobile Device Manager than you do of client automation. However, you can get up to that one-to-one license ratio. So please reach out to your sales person or to your account manager for more details, or reach out to me and I can have that discussion with you also. We are also going to be giving a Bright Talk on Wednesday, the 22nd of October. CA's GIS is currently using the Unified Endpoint Management Strategy. They're using both Client Automation and CA MDM. Client Automation to manage those corporate-owned devices and devices that don't have a user, servers, and other endpoints, both physical and virtual. And MDM to manage all of the BYOD. So if people are bringing in their own computers, those should be managed differently than you manage corporate-owned computers. You do not want to be uninstalling or reconfiguring software that you don't own as a company. And then, of course, it does the system management of iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and BlackBerry. And it's more of a policy management, blocking applications if they have a blacklisted application on their device, turning off the capture screen and camera in certain secure locations. It's all enabled by mobile device management. So please reach out, and I will be putting some more information on the community about the Bright Talk and about this promotion later today. At this point, I am going to turn this over to Richard Luckner. Richard, I'm switching the presenter rights to you right now. Richard is going to take us through the 12.9 release. The 12.9 release is currently in flight. We do have beta targeted to start on November 27th, and that will go through January 14th. And we have a lot of exciting features in here that Rich can take us through. Rich, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Yeah, first thing we want to talk about is, well, here's a disclaimer, you know, this information is in flight, so it's not necessarily a problem. You can read through the document and et cetera. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is some of the features that were included in 12.8. We're just going to review some of those and some of the enhancements that you may not be familiar with, and then we'll spend more time on the upcoming 12.9 release. First thing that we've added is custom software signature creation. Basically, it allows you to create your own custom signatures. In the past, for those of you who have used it, you know you can basically specify file size, file date, or file name, and that was pretty much limited to all you're able to do. We've enhanced that process to now you can add and statements in there and if statements, and you know, so you can have registry entries as well. Okay, so basically, you know, looking at what is a software signature. You have types of signatures. You can create a product, you can create a release or a patch or a suite, and then they all become categories of each other, you know, through the hierarchy. And then you would create your signatures, and then you can also look at what your custom signatures are in the GUI. Okay, so basically, to create a new signature, you would give it a name and a version just as you did before. But now you get an enhanced screen here, so you can specify things like date range, version range, etc. This screen you should all be familiar with from previous versions. Okay, but what's been added is you have recognition, you have enable options and approve signatures. So you drill down. Now you can select the signature XML. So you create the signature in an XML format. So you basically browse through it. You find and cut and paste the XML into the command here on the right. And here's an example of what your XML would look like. Okay, for that we have provided a web-based training course on how to create custom software signature, and we've also talked about in the past IntelliSigs. So we've also created a web-based course on how to create and use an IntelliSig. And those are both available on the education portal. A new feature that we're adding to 12.9 is neighbor aware. Basically what neighbor aware allows you to do is the payload of the software will be available from a neighboring machine instead of having to go back to a scalability server. What this will potentially allow you to do in many cases, especially in smaller offices or other environments where you don't necessarily want to stand up a scalability server, is you can have your scalability servers more centralized, and the communication, the status messages, the inventory information, which is relatively small on the network, would come from the existing scalability server, which, you know, again, would maybe back at a corporate office or whatever. But the payload itself of the software package would be on a neighboring machine. The administrator will be able to control which machines participate in the neighbor-aware, and the end user will also be able to have some control over, like, I don't want my machine to be participating in neighbor-aware because I'm in the middle of doing a presentation or something like that. Okay, so the basic architecture of the way neighbor-aware is going to work is you have this, typical to the environment today, you have the domain manager, you have the scalability servers. The scalability servers are each associated with agents. But the payload, if you look in the bottom left corner, you have the two little circles. The payload are coming from agents in the neighborhood. So the payload does not have to go over the scalability server link, which, as I said, the scalability server may be located over a WAN segment somewhere else. So some of the parameters that will be configured is, can an agent be participating in the neighbor-aware? What subnets is that particular agent going to be advertised to? Package cleanup is a parameter of how long the package will remain available at the agent. And, minimum and maximum times. So if you're doing, let's say, a monthly roll-up, there's no reason to keep the package for more than 30 days because you're going to be replacing it with a new package. But there may be some cases where you want the package to stay for a much longer period of time. You just need to make sure you have enough disk space available on the machine that's acting as the host for that package. Okay, so here, basically, this is just a view of what some of your configurations will look like. Agent collaboration info. Is this agent configured, yes or no, to participate in the agent-aware process? And then below, on the bottom half of the screen, is a list of, in this case, which packages are available to be gathered via location aware. We made some OSM enhancements. We've added support for 64-bit get image. We've also added SAN support for Windows. In the past, we've already had SAN support when the operating system is put on a SAN drive for Unix and Linux environments, but we've now added it to extend it to the Windows platform as well. In order to use it, you would basically specify the SAN ID for the particular SAN drive that you want to deploy that image to. That's what's highlighted there in red. Infrastructure health monitoring enhancements. For those of you who have used 12.8, you're already familiar that we added health monitoring in 12.8, but we've added in 12.9 is the health monitoring agent can now take remediation actions. We've also added the alert of software delivery status, alert consolidation. So if you get multiple alerts, let's say a scalability server's down, you're going to have 1,000 agents telling you a scalability server's down. You're going to get consolidation from that. So you wouldn't get 1,000 alerts, you'll get 1 alert. And you'll also get automatic remediation scripts to, if CAP doesn't start, and to do a CAP repair. You can also, which I'll show you in the next couple slides, create your own custom script for remediation. So if you have a process that you want to take place when something happens, perhaps maybe you want to, maybe you've known from the past that you run into issues with this base. If the agent can't start whatever because it doesn't have room to store anything, then maybe you want to clear temp files or something. So your script, you customize your script accordingly to take whatever actions you want it to take for that particular reason. Okay, so you'd have a configuration to enable alert remediation. Default alert remediation will be set to false, but if you want to actually take a remediation action, you would configure it to enable remediation. Once you have it enabled, you would now configure the particular alerts as to what remediation task you want it to perform. In the bottom left corner where I have highlighted, this is where you would specify the script that you would want it to run. We've provided scripts for agent repair and for CAPs not starting, but if you have other scripts that you would like to use, you basically just provide a DMS script, and it would run that when any time it detects that alert. We've also added performance enhancements. We've added it to optimize performance on Oracle, but many of these changes also help performance in general, because a lot of them were not Oracle specific, but the requirement was to optimize for Oracle. So that's why we're calling it Oracle Performance Optimization. But looking at some of these values here, for an example, by manipulating the way we deal with the ZML files, we've been able to change or minimize the amount of data table space from, for example, 15 gig down to 3 gig by handling the ZML file in a better way. We've also fixed issues you have with when you're editing queries. In the past, when you edited a query, you would add extra entries. So if you look on the table on the left, that's what the query would look like before you edit it. After you've edited it 10 times, you look at the query on the right, even though it's the same values, it's repeating the values. So that's been corrected, so the size of the queries are much smaller, which means they're able to run much more efficiently. Here's some examples of some performance things that we've gone through. For an example, to launch the GUI for 27,000 agents, it was taking 3.5 minutes. On 12.9, that's been reduced down to 45 seconds. To open discovered software list was 6 minutes. It's reduced down to 1.5. There's not much change in the discovered software list, but then in the all definitions node, it went down from 10 seconds to 6 seconds. So those are some of the improvements that have been made to increase performance. As I said, it does specify Oracle here, but it also, for the most part, helps in Windows as well. Looking at some more performance results, to list the engine node, went from 11 seconds to 2 seconds. CAF stopped for remote engines went from 13 seconds to 2 seconds. System shutdown went from 2 minutes to 2 seconds. Engine node selection went from 5 seconds to 2 seconds. So again, from big changes in performance. Some SD job creation results. We also looked at optimizing some of those. So here's a table of the things that we were seeing. Next area of change that we're making is the replacement of CCS. First, there's a document that went out to the mailing list a few months, probably a month or so back, that talks about all the features of Worldview that we're going to be replacing, we're not going to be replacing, and an approximate calendar of how those are going to take place. The first ones that we have undertaken is Worldview replacement to manage DTS and to manage calendars. Okay, so in DTS we have a DTS container node that's going to define level properties for that container. So parcel size, bandwidth, throttling, etc. will be contained in there. A DT hop link used to be called a DT hop node in Worldview. Basically, you would define the source, the destination, the metric. In other words, this particular value, how important, what priority does it have? If you configure multiple hop links, which one takes priority? So that's what metric means. Throttle is how much throttle factor do you want to put on that particular transmission link, so you don't use the complete network all the time. Maximum parcel size, when you have slow networks, very often you'll need to limit the parcel size of the packet in order to fit it onto the link without getting errors. And then you would also associate a calendar. So what calendar do you want this link to use? And you can set protocol properties such as TCP, UDP, multicast, broadcast, etc. The same thing as you used to be able to do in Worldview. And you still will be able to use Worldview in the next release. For those of you who have it, for the customers who have not installed Worldview, I'd recommend going with this method, but if you already have Worldview in place, you can still continue to use it. Okay, a DT link property will take precedence over the DT container property. So if you have a DT container and a DT link, both with settings, the DT link will win out. Since the data is no longer housed in the database, but it's housed in the CCNF configuration, this solution works with Microsoft SQL Server as well as Oracle. Worldview, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, was not supported on the Oracle MDB. Okay, so here's a configuration that you would set. You would tell it whether to use CCNF hop links or to use the old Worldview hop links for configuration. Okay, here's an example of what the settings screen looks like. So you'd specify the source, you'd specify the destination, you'd provide a metric. Here's where you'd specify your throttle value, your maximum parcel size. Just for ease of viewing, this is the same window, just scrolled over to the right to show other parameters. This is where you can set your point-to-point protocols. All the other protocols that used to exist in Worldview have been brought over here. The last item on the far right is calendar name. If you're going to associate a calendar with this link, this is where you'd specify which calendar. Okay, so it's located. This gives you an example of where you would find it. for calendars, you go down to, in configuration policy, you call configuration policy, common components, and then calendars. So that's where calendars are located. Okay, the first thing you want to do is you want to configure calendar ranges. We'll talk about calendars in a few minutes, but first you want to have calendar ranges. So range will be things like all Mondays or all Tuesdays or all Wednesdays or all first of the month or something. Those would be your ranges. Okay, so you can specify, obviously, you give it, here is your calendar view. So I'm going to create a new calendar. I can specify whether I only want it to be effective for a specific year or all the time. And then in the far right here, where all these checkboxes are, this is the calendar ranges that have been created. So I may want to have a calendar that consists of Monday, Tuesday, of all Mondays, all Tuesdays, and all Wednesdays. So I would check the Monday box, the Tuesday box, the Wednesday box. Or perhaps I only want it to have any, and it can either be a negative or a positive calendar. So it could be a calendar that does not include Sundays or include Sundays. So that's how you would build your calendars. Okay, another area that we spend a lot of time on in this module and in 12.8, we've started and continued in 12.9, is web admin console enhancements. You're now able to create, modify, and delete groups. For software packages, you can pretty much do any, for the most part, you can do anything with a software package in the web admin console that you could have or that you can do in the DSM Explorer. You can create an MSI procedure or just a file transfer procedure, whatever type of procedure. You can specify procedure dependencies. You can copy data into the volume from a remote Explorer or from a remote web console. We've also added the capability there of transferring it as a zip file, and the manager knows automatically. Basically, you specify when you're transferring it that it is a zip file, so then the manager knows automatically to uncompress it before it actually populates the volume. You can add remove files to the volume. You can edit a software package. You can delete a volume or procedure. Copy zip files already talked about. You can reorder procedures in a job container. You can add packages and or procedure groups to a job container. Change or select procedures in job containers. And then you can obviously deploy either to computers or users. Okay, so here's an example when I want to copy data from my desktop to the manager to create a software container, or to create the volume, I'm sorry. You would select the compressed box, so therefore the manager would know to uncompress that file when it got it. It will recognize by its file name that it was a zip file. And as it specifies in this little box, we support multiple versions of zip depending on the operating system that you're working with. Okay, here is an example of where you would reorder procedures. So down in the bottom right corner where I've circled, you can select a procedure and then move it up or down on the list. Similar to what you do in the DSM Explorer today. You can add packages to groups. So you would basically select the package or procedure that you're interested in, and then you can add it to the group. If you noticed on the far right here, all the items that you can do, and depending on what type of item that you have selected, will then give you options. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to add to a group if you highlighted an item. Well, I'm sorry, you wouldn't be able to create a group if you highlighted an item, but you could add it to a group. So the options available to you will change based on the type of item that you selected. Here, this is showing where you'd select which procedures to be executed in the job container. So you can select the procedure from a particular software package. We're also, some other functions that we've done is you can allow administrator to disable job priorities. Like currently right now, you can specify a job priority of 1 to 9. So you can disable that. So because the problem is if everyone chooses a high priority, then the low priority jobs will never get executed. So in some environments, the administrator can choose to disable the job priority option. We've made some internal changes to simplify the agent certification process and be able to bring out certification of an agent sooner once that operating system is released or once that service level is released from the manufacturer. We've added in-context launch of the MDM console, and we've also enhanced the inventory collection or the reconciliation of bringing MDM data into client automation. We've also added support for Windows 8.1 as a scalability service. We're upgrading or adding new certifications for the ENC managers and components to extend it to the newer platforms like the Server 2012 or Windows 8, et cetera. We're also simplifying the installation and configuration of ENC. We're adding the ability to support dual monitors and remote control. That's been requested by a number of customers. In the area of patch management, we've added, you can now manage the job options from within the patch management GUI. Whereas in the past you were using default configurations for the particular job. You would be able to configure patch management to your own default, whatever you want your default to be, but all patch manager jobs would have taken on the same policy. So now you can customize each job as you build it. We've also done some, refreshing technologies. We've
and you covered that already, Rich.
Right.
So, yeah, with the calendars, and configuring DTS, and yeah.
Yes, and the upgrade path supported 12.8 SP1 to C9, 12.8 to C9, 12.8 feature pack 1 to C9. Same thing with the scalability service.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add one thing here. We have added a direct upgrade from 12.5 SP1 to 12.9 also for the Enterprise and Domain Manager.
Yeah, it's on here, isn't it? Yeah, true. Okay, now it's not on here. You're right.
Yeah, yeah. So we have added an additional direct migration path. All right, Rich, I think if you hand control back over to me, I can go over the CA World things.
Okay.
All right. I did want to make one note on the remote control into dual monitors. That works right now. The scenario that you are not able to remote control into dual monitors is the situation where you have a Windows 7 or a Windows 8 system that has their desktop set in secure mode. You are not able to see the second monitor in that situation. We do have an issue open with Microsoft. They are evaluating it. They have been able to recreate it, so we're waiting for them to update some APIs. So being able to remote control into dual monitors where the system is set on secure desktop may not make it into the release. It's entirely dependent upon Microsoft getting us that fix in time to get it into the release. If we don't get it into the release, we're likely to be delivering that in the service stream. So I wanted to take just a little bit of time before we end the call today and talk about CA World. CA World is November 9th to 12th this year, and it's at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, if any of you have ever participated in past CA World, we have a showroom floor that's open in a limited amount of time. So typically the first evening, the show floor opens up. It's open in the afternoons for the rest of CA World. And we had a lot of off-floor sessions, tracks of presentations, clients talking, guest speakers talking off the showroom floor. This year, we have changed the format of CA World dramatically. On Sunday, we will have a lot of training, pre-CA World training, so you can get product training. The catalog of all of the training and all of the sessions also will be up on caworld.ca.com. So just go to our homepage and click on the CA World link to see a session catalog. Instead of having off-floor sessions this year, they are putting some theaters right on the floor in each one of our tracks, whether that's operations or security or mainframe. We'll each have a section on the floor, and we will have a theater right there on the floor where all of the sessions will take place. So the floor is open the entire time that CA World is going on. We will have some featured speakers. They will also be making themselves available on the floor so that you're able to, talk to some of the leaders in business who are building what is deemed by a lot of analysts and CA as the application economy. Lots of top companies from around the world. Some of the companies that will be attending that are not listed on this slide are Facebook, Nike, HSBC. Well, HSBC is listed on here. But the companies that are partnering with CA to grow business and improve their customer experience will have presentations on the floor in those theaters that I mentioned, detailing how they're partnering with CA to drive business in the application economy. So leaders in the application economy are seeing increased growth. Just an interesting fact, more than double revenue growth, 68% higher profit growth, and 50% more of their businesses coming from new products and services. A lot of businesses, now their first interaction with the company is not necessarily a website. It's an application on a mobile device or a desktop that is their first interaction with the company. So companies are needing to update the way that they interact with each other in business-to-business transactions and also business-to-consumer transactions. So lots of those customers will be talking on the floor and being available. Another thing that we're going to do this year is have a night of innovation. Typically in the past we've had concerts, but we will have featured exhibits. Oculus Rift, if you haven't seen what this kid is doing with virtual reality, it's really cool, and he's only about 20 years old, and evidently he goes everywhere barefoot in jeans and T-shirts. 3D printed snacks. How cool is that? That's like you know, a replicator on Star Trek. Just order what you want and it shoots it out. So we're really excited about CA World this year. So please go out and take a look at it on ca.com/CA World and see if you can participate in this year's CA World. Would like to open it up for questions now if we could.
As a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to ask a question, please press star then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster.
Thanks, everyone. And I'd also like to, just as another note, go take the survey. The link is on the community site. I will be putting up an advertisement, an invitation to a Bright Talk on CA's Bright Talk channel for next Wednesday. Our own GIS is going to be talking about how they're leveraging client automation and CA MDM together to fulfill a unified endpoint management strategy, bringing everything that's accessing the corporate network and resources into a single point of view within client automation to really understand what's going on. So please take a look for that invitation. I will also be putting up some more information on the MDM promotion for CA Unified Endpoint Management, wherein you can get up to a 1-to-1 license ratio at a $0 transaction if you want to take a look and implement our CA MDM solution. So if you have any questions on that, please just reach out to me or respond when I post that information on the website today on the community site. Are there any questions?
And there are no questions at this time.
All right. Also wanted to mention the beta that I mentioned, that 4.12.9 for the features you've just seen. It starts on November 27th, goes through January 14th. So we did extend that because that clearly falls over the holiday season, and we wanted to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to truly test some of these new features. If you are interested in participating in that beta, reach out to me directly. It's at lauralgentry.ca.com. It's up there on the screen on the last page there. It is not an open beta. It is by invite only, so reach out to me if you want to learn more about it, and I can get you that information. At this time, I think we can wrap up the call. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to participate today.
Thank you for joining today's conference call. You may now disconnect your line.